Hello and welcome to the pre-match analysis of today's game between Maldives and Afghanistan. Maldives and Afghanistan have both had winning starts to the tournament so far, but they were troubled by teams that were considered to be way weaker than them, Bhutan and Sri Lanka. Maldives and Afghanistan will both look to win this game today so as to avoid the hosts Nepal in the semi-finals. To talk with us furthermore, I have here with me our experts in today's game, Shahrukh Sohail, Chief Editor, FootballPakistan.com, and Mohammad Firash, Editor, Maldives Soccer. I'll start with you, Shahrukh. The Afghan lineup, so far, do you believe they've found the rhythm and the symphony of being able to execute and be the best team in this championship?
Clearly not. They've struggled, I think, against Bhutan in the opening game. Bhutan actually gave them a run for their money in the opening half, and actually Afghanistan were lucky not to have the scores drawn at 1-1 in the second half. Bhutan missed a penalty and so on. Afghanistan went on to win the match. And even against Sri Lanka, Sri Lankans were the first ones to score, and but they were unable to maintain their formation, and Afghanistan took over. Looking back to the previous SAFF championship, I think Afghanistan are yet to find the form that they were showing last time. But with, Bilal also did not play in the first game, and, he came back after a long flight, probably jet lag in the second game as well. So he wasn't really performing in that and was substituted. But nonetheless, I think Yusuf Kargar will offer a very strong lineup today. He knows he has to win today so that he doesn't face Nepal in the semi-finals. So it's going to be an interesting game, but I think Afghanistan should find their rhythm today because, the team has played 2 more games and because they played on national surface a bit more as well. So they should perform.
Coming to Maldives' performance, they were exceptional with their game against Sri Lanka. Thrashed them 10-0, Ali Ashfaq coming in to score a double hat-trick, breaking records. In their second game, however, they did not look too organized in the first half and almost went to the halftime break, losing to Sri Lanka.
As you said, against Bhutan, Maldives was suffering very much pressure from Bhutan. Actually, what happened was coach included 2 new players to the starting 11. And Ismail Isa, who was having a long-term injury, he was in the midfield line. So the ball holding in the midfield was very poor. So when playing like 3-5-2 system, the defense needs extraordinary support from the midfield and also from the wings. But in that case, what happened was Isa was not having so much fitness, so he couldn't play so well. So the pressure was going to the defense, and in Bhutan scored 2 goals. So that was the main reason why Maldives was suffering that pressure in the first half. But in the second half, they changed those 2 players and they stick to the normal game plan and scored the goals.
Right. There's a lot of buzz with those 2 red cards that, both was fouls on Ali Ashfaq. What happens there? When Ali moves forward with the ball, one-on-one with the goalkeeper, he looks very calm, composed, and is he inviting an attack, or are the goalkeepers too restless and pounce on him?
Obviously, Ashfaq is one of the best striker in the region in dribbling, speed, and tactics, everything. So in one-on-one status, it will be very difficult to beat him as a keeper or a defender. So there is only either way is to foul or otherwise he will beat the keeper. So most of the time, the keeper fouls him. Right. So and as the coach said, it is a tactics. So any team will try to take most of the advantages they can take. So it is also an advantage, I can say.
Right. And going into this tournament, Maldives and Afghanistan were pretty evenly matched. But given the form that Afghanistan has been in and given the form that Maldives has been in, do you think Maldives has that slightly edge over Afghanistan in today's game?
Yes, not only slightly a slight edge over Afghanistan in those terms, but I think considering that they've been scoring goals for fun, they'll have a lot of confidence going into this game. But nonetheless, as I've mentioned before, Afghanistan have not clicked. It's only till they find their rhythm they'll be struggling. But today, if they get the team lineup sorted, Bilal Azhar is in top form, Santar Ahmed is on good form, I think Afghanistan will be able to replicate the good performance that they showed last time.
Right. And what do you think is the strategy of Kargar leading Afghanistan into this game against Maldives?
Yes, Yusuf Kargar will also be keeping a check on the other group, because we see Nepal topping that and India second, and most of the teams here will be looking to avoid Nepal because of the fantastic home support.
Also, India has been not in the best of form.
Exactly. So Yusuf Kargar will be definitely looking at a win today here so he can top the group. If Maldives and Afghanistan draw, Maldives will go through because of the very, very superior goal difference. So Afghanistan need to win today top the group and then face India and avoid Nepal. So Yusuf Khawagar will go for attacking the lineup. Afghanistan have got a very good striking options up front with Bilal Azun, Sanzar Ahmedi, and in midfield Azad Zoi has shown a good promise. Last time he scored against Bhutan as well. So yes, it's going to be a very attacking minded lineup, but yes, the defense also has to hold solid, and they have to man mark Ali Ashfaq today as well, because if they don't, we've clearly seen what Ali Ashfaq can do.
Yes, considering games so as to draw the scores so that they can qualify as Group B winners?
Definitely, Maldives will play for a win because as the coach said in the beginning of the tournament, they want to win all the matches and take back the trophy to Maldives. And also, I think there won't be any game plan changes. They will stick to the 3-5-2 system. And however, it will be much more easier playing against India than Nepal, because Nepal has a very good host crowd, and also they have some advantages.
Right, and considering the fact that the captain Sunil Shetty won't be playing in the semi-finals, that could be another great advantage. But bringing back to you, there's a similar situation in your camp as well, where Ali Ashfaq has already been yellow carded. Do you think they'll risk him, make him play today? Because if, in case he fouls someone and gets a yellow card, he could miss the semi-finals.
If Ashfaq is booked today, he will miss the semi-final. But in that case, I think there are some players who can fill that position, but I don't think there will be any player who can fill Ashfaq there. So I think coach might keep him in the bench in the starting 11, but also I think he will want to score a goal in his 20th birthday to celebrate his birthday today. So he might be seen.
Striking problems of Afghanistan, Bala Arzu, it was highly anticipated to score in the last match against a team like Bhutan. He did not really perform, did he?
Yes, well, I think that's down to chemistry as well. Bilal, as I mentioned, he did not play in the first game as well. So yes, it's going to be a little fitness issue as well. He came down for Norway, and he's not used to playing on natural grass with the national team. So it's going to be difficult for him to find the combination that he did before. But considering that his talent, undoubted talent that he has, and he also had a stint with the I-League club this year, I think he'll get going, but he'll need some time to gel in with his teammates once again.
Right, and Harun Fakhruddin, the captain, has been dealing with the
came in, he jumped over the Maldives defender, headed it in, and then he also had a shot from outside the box, and he was unlucky not to get another goal on his name. So he's been a very good performer for Bhutan, and I think if he performs well today and creates chances for the other strikers as well, Bhutan could be in for a surprise result.
Right, and a team like Bhutan, which is on the up if it comes to progressing football, what do you think the strategies need to be after this tournament from the Bhutanese Football Federation?
I think the mainstay of the strategy should be playing against Thailand, which they lost 5-0. So yes, they have to play more games, and if they play more games, they'll get more experience, and after that they can start slowly building on that. They start getting results, they improve their ranking. But then again, for a team like Bhutan, the federation has limited budgets, so it's going to be difficult for them. But if they perform well this time around, and they can take a lot of positives and then look to build on that.
Right. Last time Sri Lanka took the lead against Afghanistan, the Afghanistan players' body language was as if they knew they would bounce back, and Sri Lanka too were waiting for them to bounce back at them, right? So it's a very young side. What do you think needs to be done for the standard of football to be upgraded now?
I think Sri Lanka, we can draw comparisons with India. India have gone backwards in the last 2 years, and probably Sri Lanka's decline started a few years earlier because they haven't made it past the group stage for the last 3 editions now in the SAFF Championship, which will be a big concern for Sri Lankan football, because at one time they were one of the best in South Asia. They had quite a good talented players. There have been some retirements as well, like for India, Sri Lanka have had some retirements. So it's a new team. And it's a lot of responsibility on the new Brazilian coach, Claudio Roberto, because not only he has to know the national team players, he has to understand Sri Lankan football, what is required, and he has to follow the domestic football properly. So it's a big challenge ahead for Sri Lanka now after the SAFF championships. And I think the only way out is, again, like Shahrukh said, they have to play more international matches. They have to focus on youth development as well, because you need a large pool of players, to choose for the national team. So I think, like for any other team in South Asia, for Sri Lanka too, they have to get the basics right, get your youth development sorted, and try and create a bigger pool of players for the national team.
Right. As far as of yet in this SAFF Championship 2013, do you believe any player from the Sri Lankan lineup has really stepped up, performed, but has not had the support from his teammates?
I don't think so. I think Sri Lanka overall have not been good enough for the tournament. I think there were a lot of expectations from their federation that they sent them for a tour. They had a lot of preparation before the tournament. Obviously, it didn't involve competitive matches, but still, I think the federation did their job. But it wasn't going to be easy for Sri Lanka. They had a bad year. They failed to qualify for the AFC Challenge Cup 2014. So it was always going to be difficult for them. And they were in a group which had two of the best teams of South Asia, in Afghanistan and Maldives. But still 10-0, and it's not good enough for Sri Lankan football. You can't expect them to lose 10-0. They're one of the former champions. It is a matter of prestige for not only their football team but their country, losing 10-0 to Maldives, because at one point Maldives and Sri Lanka were quite similar in terms of standards. So I don't think any players stepped up yet. So maybe the game against Bhutan, today's game, gives one of their players the chance to step up and keep their place in the national team for the next tournament.
Right, and the fact being, the irony of course being, Roberto in front of the match said that he's pretty confident about his team performing well against Maldives because they played some football together in Thailand. Did not happen, did it? So do you think that there was a slight bit of overconfidence on the Sri Lankan players that they would not suffer such a huge defeat?
Could be. I think once they went down to 10, I think there should have been more tactical changes by Claudio Roberto. He could have gone and defended. Although I think some people praised them that they kept going and tried to get a goal back for their team. But it was pretty naive of them. We are down 4 and 5-0, right, and Ali Ashfaq is in hot form. You have to defend deeply and get your defense sorted. So it was pretty naive from Sri Lanka, but I'm sure they have learned from their mistakes, because against Afghanistan they showed a lot more maturity, but eventually the technical inferiority showed.
I would want to ask this to Shahrukh. What does a team do when their goalkeeper is red carded? There's a replacement that arrives, and then they're down to 10 men. And against a team like Maldives or Afghanistan, for that matter, which has been in such a terrific scoring form.
I think after that, the team completely has to go defensive. They know they're 10 men down. They can't afford to take any more chances. They've already conceded a goal. So yes, they drop back, perhaps, form a 5-man back line, and then, just keep one striker up front, take the entire team back, defend, and if you get a chance, counter perhaps.
Right. And do you believe the Bhutanese side, are there any players that have stepped up and performed exceptionally in any of the games in SAFF Championship 2013?
Yes, besides their captain, the Chincha Gulshan has stepped up for Bhutan, and he scored a very good goal against Maldives. He ran up, the keeper was charging towards him, he chipped the keeper, which is a very positive sign for Bhutanese football, because finishing has been a problem in the SAFF Championship, and that was a particularly good goal. So yes, Bhutan has improved in recent times, and they just have to keep this going now.
Right. Scored 2 goals, right? Did you believe that they could actually go on and win?
Well, that's
at that moment, of course.
Well, that's a very interesting question, but yes, if they had not been that unlucky because they hit the crossbar and had that ball gone in, I think the situation would have been quite different, because Maldives would have been under tremendous pressure, and even though there was a very small crowd, the entire stadium was behind Bhutan instead of Maldives.
Right, and it was not just against Maldives. I mean, Bhutan played brilliantly against Afghanistan too. They missed a penalty kick. If that penalty had gone in, the scores would have been level, and you would never know. Bhutan could have qualified for the semi-finals, which perhaps Nepal or India would have liked.
Absolutely. I think Bhutan could have emulated their success in 2008 when they reached the semi-finals if they had taken their chances, because I think all the teams have underestimated Bhutan, Afghanistan and Maldives. I think even the Maldives coach admitted after the game that Bhutan really played well, even though they lost 8-2. So full credit to the Bhutan team. I think the new coaching staff under the Japanese has really done well. They're playing some good football, but then again, they have to play more matches, because you can't just rely on playing 3 matches a year to make improvement.
Right. Shahrukh, I already asked you who has stepped up so far. Who do you think is going to step up in today's game?
I think, considering the last 2 performances, it's going to be a very tough game for both sides. They don't have their first choice keepers at the moment, and so it's going to be a pretty interesting game. but I think Bhutan might edge this one.
Right. Any players that you're looking up to?
I think Bhutan captain Pasang will be on hot form, and after scoring in the last game, and we'll look to score once more.
Anyone from the Sri Lankan side that needs to step up, or you believe that is going to step up in today's game?
I think Mohammad Izzaddin could be one of the players. I remember him scoring a hat-trick in 2009 Nehru Cup in New Delhi when Sri Lanka upset Lebanon. And I think he's one of the experienced players. He has been recalled to the national team by Claudio Roberto. And I think this is a good stage for him. He's playing against Bhutan and he has a lot of experience. So if he gets the chances, I'm sure he will take some of them.
Right. What is your scoreline prediction, Shahrukh, today, given that you've been in pretty good form predicting as well?
Yes, I think this will be a close game. There'll be a couple of goals in it because both of the defenses are not as good as they were. So I think Bhutan might edge this one 2-1.
What about you? What do you think, Umar?
I think it will be a score draw. I'm going for 2-2 with both teams really having a go. They have nothing to lose. It's a dead rubber. So I'm hoping for some entertainment today.
Right, there you go. Those were our experts, and they simply broke down today's game for us. Sri Lanka and Bhutan playing for pride in today's game. Who will emerge out victorious? Only time will tell. But we have live action waiting for you at the other side of the break. Stay tuned.